So second thing that I've been thinking real hard about, what do you got? Oh, it's a fly. Uh, Second thing I've been thinking real hard about is how important it is to get them to center their thoughts. I don't. I realize that I should have figured this out sooner. Um, and I guess I've been hunting it up, but the difference. You know what? Maybe it's not that I didn't know it wasn't important. Maybe it's that I'm finally getting better at it because it takes practice, right? For both him and for me. He doesn't have a lot of practice with that. Um, so what I noticed today is that he's fairly willing, maybe not as awake. I think a lot of that's just because of smoke. Little fidgety, if you couldn't tell, although there was about 5 flies around his face. Little fidgety, kind of itchy, and I think a lot of that's weather driven. But some of it's just his mind, because he gets a little bit like bouncing back and forth between the walls in his mind. And that's kind of how he came out today, a little shut down, but also a little doing this, which for him is not, that's like a fairly common feeling, and kind of twisting his tail. And I do know that I did something that brought that up, which is that I had the rope around his belly for a little while, and that always brings up this itchiness, which I think is anxiety driven. I think it's a psychosomatic way that his now I got it too. Anxiety comes out. But what I was gonna say, so it's not surprising because pretty much every time I do that, I get he has this kind of this stuff kind of comes out of him. But I've been doing it once in a while because I want to help him through that, and I can't help him through it if I never try it. So anyway, while we were out here working through the part where his mind is just bouncing back and forth and he can't quite find the center, I tried a few different things, and then I just have a specific little exercise, a couple things that I can do to help him with that, and I had to get real clear and specific. Julie might say firm too, about what it was that he needed to do, and not in a mean way, persistent though. And it helped so much. He has stopped worrying so much about the flies. There was a bunch of flies on him, but there's one on him right now, actually on his eye, and he's just tolerating it. His tail isn't swishing the way it was. It's swishing a little bit, which I would like it to be swishing less, but he's not wringing it anymore. And when I just walked him around a few times too, and he is not, his whole body, you could tell, is much more relaxed. So he's still a little bit more dull than I would like, a little bit more shut down. Oh, but see there, his eyes just came perked up. So some of that's just because we're standing here, and it's actually something I've been trying to work on with him. Is giving him some of these moments, especially because it's been so smoky. There's certain things you just can't do. I mean, he can't go for a canter right now. He needs to calm down this way. And it's just been really interesting to watch. And today I really noticed how much just asking him to center up really changed the whole game. And really got rid of the sort of psychosomatic symptoms that were starting to become a problem, because it's not that he was doing anything bad. Like, he was mechanically doing everything I asked him to do, with not a lot of what some people might see worry. I mean, he walked, trot, and he didn't canter over he did canter the pole, but not because I asked him to. He's done everything I've asked him to do without resistance today, although he's a little dull, so slowly. But although part of the reason why I'm not asking him to perk up too much is because I actually think some of that's the smoke. He's kind of coughed a couple times. And so I'm like mostly walking. But I just think that it really showed how much how those few minutes of just asking him to get centered can really change the whole game. And also, I think for him, 2 years ago, that wouldn't have, we'd be out here all day, this would have been an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I probably wouldn't have gotten as far, especially because I didn't know what I was doing. And 6 months ago it would have been 2 or 3 times as long, and a year ago it would have been 4 times as long. So to get to that mental space in just a few minutes. And I also just really noticed, like, the feeling he gave back to me when I was like, hey, time to center up, was a lot less resistant. I would like it to be more alive, but in the past he's just been so resistant to that and angry, and that wasn't there. It was kind of like, oh, you're there, but it wasn't there was no anger, there was no malice or resentment in it. Again, not as awake as I would have liked, but see, you can't do it all in one day, can you, Wyatt? But it does go to speak to what Harry is trying to tell people about. You don't want to leave all, he sees a problem that people leave stuff in there that they don't need to, and I think that's a mistake that I've fallen into before. Although with this horse, any horse, you really need to be paying attention to. It's a it's a journey, right? I'm not getting through everything at once. Look, okay, he's basically asleep, which might not. Can you see? He's one leg's cocked, his tail is still. That might not be what you want if you're going to work, but actually, this is a huge. The fact that he just got to a point where he can, where his tail isn't swishing, that's what I was working towards for that little bit of peace. Because I bet if I was to go to ask him to do something right now, I am 98% certain that he would. Sorry, he looks so happy right now. I'm 98% certain that he's still in there enough that he would do something. This is a good spot to end.